Gentlemen, we're back. Before the break, we came to a pretty obvious conclusion. One of the things that interests me is, how did the whole idea of trial by jury begin? Where did this all start?
I think that's an interesting point, because I think it's a little bit older than even our country. I know that our founders were well informed about it, and they incorporated it into our system of justice, and they endorsed it. But when really did this come about? It was for a few years before our founding that it was known.
It goes way back to the English tradition and the Magna Carta. The whole idea was that under a system of laws, the individuals who are supposed to be the objects of those laws help to frame them. That's what the Magna Carta was all about, and the trial by jury system was a way for individuals in a small town to help to decide and implement the laws that govern that town.
Larry, how do the judges prevent the jury from getting the information, and how would this work? I mean, let's say we have this concept reintroduced and is accepted. How does the jury even make the decision on what they want to hear? The judge now comes up, and if there's information, he'll say, well, that's inadmissible in court. Well, how in a practical sense would this come about, where the jury could demand or ask for or get more information?
Well, we are holding conferences that discuss what access the jury will have to the evidence, and enlarging the amount of evidence and the degree of evidence and so forth that the jury can review before it makes a decision is definitely one of the points. So we've actually formulated not just one amendment, which would require that the jury be told it may judge both law and fact, but a series of them we're calling the Bill of Jury Rights, one of which would give the jury access to the full range of evidence they need to make their decisions.
And of course, they would be emphasized that they could rule on the law as well.
On the law as well. This is the reason that's been forgotten and is not used. In fact, that juries are now told that they may not judge the law stems from a decision by the Supreme Court in 1895 called the Sparf and Henson decision, where the Supreme Court decided that juries no longer had to be told that they had the power and the right to judge the law. So it would be up to the judge. Fortunately, people have remembered over time that part of the job of being a juror is to use your conscience, so they sometimes take the risk and do it anyway.
Gee, what's your idea about a voluntary jury? Is there any merit to considering making jury duty voluntary rather than compulsory?
I think there's some merit to that, because you're talking about individuals who have stated that they have an interest in the administration of justice in our system. One of the problems with the current jury system is you do sort of draft people, and that always carries some problems with it. You know, one of the real benefits of a reinvigorated trial by jury system along the lines we're talking about is it might remove some of the mystery surrounding the legal process. It might open that process up and help more citizens understand both its benefits and its problems.
Folks, our time's getting a little short. We're going to need to wind this up. So let me ask each of you to comment on the short run for a moment. Gene, what's the next step? What's the first thing that ought to happen to bring more power to the jury?
I think one of the things you can do is, in addition to programs such as this, is try to talk more about the notion of citizenship. It's a very common idea, it's a very common argument, but it's not heard much anymore. And if you talk about citizenship, and not just in terms of going out and voting and register to vote, but in terms of one's obligations towards self-government, and how trial by jury and jury service is one of those fundamental components of self-government, you might begin to erode some of the mystery behind what's going on and help to improve the situation.
And Larry, you've been living and breathing this issue for quite a while now. What's at the top of your wish list?
Well, Mike, we've been out in the streets trying to get a law passed by citizen initiative that would require judges to tell the jury you have these powers that you don't know about formally. We of course, then encourage people to get involved in that. One way to do that would be to contact the National Endowment for Liberty and ask how to get involved with our citizen initiative or with the legislative process, where we are trying to get the legislature to require by law that juries be so informed. Other than that, there's a number of informal things that can be done. We have literature to pass out, and some people are just standing out in front of courthouses handing literature to people and educating them on site, which seems to be working.
Ron, finally, what's your view?
Well, I think obviously we have to have informed citizens if we're going to have informed juries, and that's the key to it. They must be informed when they vote. They ought to be informed and willing to serve on juries. I like the idea of a voluntary jury. I think that goes along with freedom ideas. I think our greatest obstacle is overcoming the arrogance of judges. And if we have enough jurors who are well informed and willing to serve, I believe we can achieve that.
Well, that's where we'll have to leave it. I want to thank our panelists and you for being with us. We'll be back next week for another vital topic at issue.